Welcome to TBS, Tarot by Sadie. I'm Sadie, and today we're going to talk about the Sherri Papini case. Now, it's one of those things where this may be a case of people hating how someone looks and thinking that they're not a good person or that they're annoying, and then that is why they think they're guilty. Or it could also be a question of a bunch of people seeing a bunch of BS happen. It could, and recognizing it. It could be a thing where the public are recognizing patterns that don't make sense, and they're either drawing the right conclusions or the wrong conclusions. And it could either be a conspiracy or the truth that she was abducted. So I kind of want to find out, I want to find out what happened, and I also want to know, I kind of want to know if any part of it was true, any part of it was false, or if it was all true or all false. You know what I mean? It's one of those cases where I too look at their family pictures and I'm just annoyed because I would not like them as friends and I would not want to talk to them. In fact, I would avoid them like the plague. But it doesn't matter, because I know that I recognize in myself that it's actually a bias that has, for me, it's a bias that has nothing to do with guilty or not guilty. It's more like I don't like those kind of people and I don't want them in my life. Because I recognize that, and because I'm kind of in the middle on this case, I think it's going to be good for me to do the cards and see if I can figure out one or the other side. You know what I mean? So join with me here. I have the Muse Tarot deck and the Goddess Oracle, and I want to find out who Sherri is and what happened to her, and if she was lying or not, and if Keith is part of it, if it's a lie. So let's get started. This happened only a few years ago, and in Redding, California, which apparently is a hotbed of crime because it's kind of a crossroads between a bunch of different places, and it's big and small at the same time. So different things can happen that can't happen in a big city, I guess you could say. I always wondered what kind of people they didn't use Facebook, and they didn't have a lot of friends, and that could be for religious reasons, that could be because they just are like that because their family was like that. But it does seem to me that this is not a normal family. It's true. It doesn't seem like they have morals that have anything to do with regular life. You know what I mean? They're kind of like off the grid, so to speak, and they also choose to retire from society. And now they're doing it a lot because they're being persecuted and called liars. And you wonder why someone like Sherri Papini would want to live a life with a man like Keith, because Keith is a lot less attractive than she is. But they did meet when they were younger, and that makes sense that you grow up together and you love each other as is. But there was a question of, was she talking to another man? Was she sick of being a stay-at-home mom? Did she try to get a job and couldn't? Was she mentally ill? Etc. So there's a lot going on that we don't know the answer to, which I would like to find out. Okay, so let's see. The first thing that popped up is the Nine of Coins. So that was saying that they were satisfied as a family and they were very happy together. That's pretty cool. Seven of Wands, Queen of Cups, Three of Swords, Five of Coins, and 10 of Swords. So this is saying that they did not have a lot of money and were living above their means. If he worked at Best Buy and she was at home and they lived in a big house like that, and they seem to have a lot going for them, it probably means they were living above their means. And this is saying that poverty had touched them both, the family, in other words. And the family unit was full of love, but that they had mismanaged the finances. There had been heartbreak before because she had rejected him before. She had been with someone else, married someone else. He was still in love with her and waiting. He dated, but he secretly loved her. And when they got back together, he was very happy. This is also saying that he knew that she would always be kind of looking around because she was restless. And he accepted that because he loved her and thought he was very lucky to have her. This happens a lot. She was very loving and emotional. This is her right here in the ocean with her white outfit and her white dress and her long hair. She loved her kids and she loved him. She was a very good mom and she tried as hard as she could for them. But she didn't hide the fact from him that she really did have other things going on that she would like to happen in her life. And so both of them were a little, even though they were so connected, they were both also living a separate life from each other because she had wants and desires he could not give her. And so he felt isolated because he couldn't make her all the way happy. And she felt isolated because she didn't have all that she thought she could get or wanted. And this is also very common in a marriage. But it's something that bothered them. But overall, they were very content together. Let me see, what was that? So they had reached rock bottom a few times where, for them, it was rock bottom, where they aren't used to adversity at all. Like, they really did have, like, a very charmed life, and any little problem they had was really nothing compared to what most people deal with. It's true. But there was some times where he felt very, very sad and betrayed and lonely, and like he didn't love, like he failed in that she didn't love him. But he always stayed in there because he just accepted her as she was. And let's see what this is. I'm playing all uprights today. Sorry, I messed up the deck when I was doing it here. Turn it over. This is saying that they each were holding on to what they had, and they were hoarding their family. They knew it was very important, and both of them, Sherri included, didn't want to lose what she had. She loved him. She loved the children. It's just that sometimes she really did feel like she wanted a more adventurous, exciting life because she knew if she tried, she could get it easily with her looks. Alright, so she told the truth to him all the time. She said it nicely, which isn't exactly like the Queen of Swords, but she did not mince. She said exactly the words very succinctly what she meant, even though she said it in a nice voice. Whenever she felt that way about leaving or finding something else, or just feeling restless and stirring. Okay. They were trying to find ways about how to get more money without her having to work, and maybe just work from home, you know? And they were getting a lot more bills coming in, and that they had a mortgage, I guess, that they were not fulfilling, and it was getting a little bit trying to see all the bills coming in the mail, and she was starting to get really stressed out about it. He saw it more as, we can fix this, we can do this, but it was really bothering her because she wanted to be safe like all women, and in a relationship. And she just kind of, the Queen of Swords is on her own realm, and she plays by her own rules, even though she thinks they're the rules of the world. She actually has a little bit of a different view than everyone else, and she's a bit more harsh than others. But Sherri knew that kind of about herself, but not all the way. Keith knew 100% how she could be, but she couldn't see how she was because it's her. Okay. They were thinking of having another baby, but didn't know what to do about it. They had been sowing towards something good, but there were people coming around their relationship trying to get involved in their lives that they didn't know if they wanted in their lives. And one of those was this man that wanted to talk to Sherri online, and I guess they knew each other before. Let's see. There's a lot of swords going on here. Okay, so he was telling her to come away with him, and to that it was she deserved to have more than she had, and that he could give her more than what Keith did. And that's technically true, as far as he made a little bit more money, but he really was not a good man, and it was pointless for her to be involved. But she did have dreams of him and was secretly really getting into just the thought of being wooed, because, you know, her and Keith had been together a really long time. She saw that she could have more in the world, and that she could be sexually attractive and wanted and charismatic and kind of change her identity. And she knew she had to pick one or the other, but for the time being, she just really liked to be where she was, but dream of the other thing. And she told Keith he knew, but he didn't know, of course, what she was talking about all the way to this man, or how much they were talking, or anything like that. I don't know if he knew his name. He lived in Michigan. That's what the cops said. I didn't see that here. So Keith, of course, didn't. He felt like he was going to regret this in his life. Like she was going to go do something bad, but he didn't really know how to stop her. And he knew that she had secrets, feminine secrets from him that he didn't understand. He also knew that that she could inspire love from other men, and that it was really tempting for her to say no. Instead of two different options like she saw it, he saw it like like a stalemate. Like both things are going to be bad. What is he going to do? What is he going to deal with? And he felt like he was surrendering to what was happening because he didn't know what else to do, and he loved her, but he also felt like it was doomed. whatever she was going to decide, because he felt scared. And he didn't want his family legacy and his beautiful life to go away with his children and everything. He wanted to grow old with her. He had a lot of passion for her and decided to try harder in their relationship to get her to be more inspired by him. But it actually caused her to try to go more away from him, because, as we all know, in romantic relationships, unfortunately, when one person tries really, really hard to get the other person to go towards them, that person goes away. It's just the way humans are. I don't really understand why. Okay, 7 of Cups. So he decided to up the ante and be more sexual and make her feel like, you know, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of the Desert, the Queen of Sexuality, and that he would offer her all these different things to pick from and start over. And not only was this a start over, it really was being foolish, because she really should not have even been talking to this guy. He was a deadbeat. He also was kind of mean, and if she would have got there, it would have been really bad for her. She had no idea what she was playing with. She started to be able to see some cracks in his facade. But still, she was still in she was still in the channel of wanting to change and have a different life. But her intuition was starting to kick in that this man was bad, and she should probably break it off sooner rather than later. And her children also, she was neglecting them emotionally, and she felt bad about it. She wanted to get closer to them. And so she kind of put up a wall against this man. So that's good. She, just like everyone does when they're in kind of an affair type thing, they can walk away from it very easily and can stop it, but it feels so all-encompassing with the emotion level that you hold yourself where you are even though you could walk away. You think you're in a prison and can't leave, and it's kind of, but you're keeping yourself there yourself. It's just that a lot of times you don't notice it right away. Okay. So this is just saying that Keith, she saw Keith for what he was then and was more excited about him. I love this card. Isn't it so beautiful? It's my favorite card in here. They were going back towards being happy again. But she couldn't shake some of the feelings and decided to put it on hold and not make a decision. But it was hard to not talk to this man because he was very flattering, and you know how they are. So she asked Keith if he wanted to go to church together. Also, what his wisdom was about it, because she did trust him. And she might have told her mother or another woman that this is stupid. Why are you talking to him? You need to use temperance and throw away that part of yourself for a while that's really out of control with these emotions. And obviously you can pick one or the other, but you have to choose soon. And otherwise chaos will come and ruin everything. Poor Keith will be shut out, and you'll be shut out as well. And that Keith actually is a very good provider, and you shouldn't mistreat him or see him as not what he really is. So Hope was in the future, and she was excited about him. So she did not go to see the man. It was a thing where she was compromised, but that was not where she went. So instead of talking to him, the man in Michigan, she decided to replace him with something else. So she started to do her running to get ready for the turkey walk or whatever it was called. And because of that, she was going forward like towards a new thing. It was a new thing she could do where she wouldn't have to be bored as much, but she wasn't leaving Keith or the children. It was a way to replace the emotional rush of talking with this guy with the runner's high. But unfortunately, temptation was waiting, but it also wasn't exactly. It was more like the devil really was waiting, and it wasn't her fault. Yeah. Okay, so she really was taken away in a van or SUV, and she really was, she told the truth about it. It was two ladies. They were working for someone else who was getting women to put in sex trafficking. They were just kind of starting up on their venture, and they knew that blondes were more in demand. So when they saw her running, they, on the spur of the moment, decided to take her. Yeah, so they did. I mean, they took her back to the place where they were at. They were trying to get ladies and money for this drug guy, this cartel guy. I guess they were Hispanic, but they were actually usually taking Hispanic girls because they knew a lot more about that. But when they saw the blonde hair, they were like, whoa, we got to get this girl. Because she's so thin, they knew they could overpower her too. And they also didn't know how old she was exactly, because she was so thin. They had other ladies at the place where they were taking her, and it's true they kept her tied up the whole time. They had a bucket for the bathroom because they didn't want to clean up the bathroom, but they fed her sometimes, and the other ladies, they came in and out, but they were kind of didn't really know what to do with her. And also, Sherri kept talking to them about God and about like trying to be their friend and stuff, and it actually was starting to work. Yeah, and she was smart enough to actually like talk her way out of her situation. It took about a month or so, but she definitely gained one of the trust of the girls, of the two women. And that woman was able to take her and release her. where 150 miles from her home where they did. So this spread is saying that it's true that she had plans to perhaps go with this other man, but she decided not to. She started to put her life back on track, and because she was running, these ladies, these criminal ladies did find her, took her in, were trying to see how much money they wanted to get for her because she was blonde, and like, she's actually a real blonde. She's not a bleach blonde. She was born with real blonde hair, which is like really pale. So they knew they could get a lot more for her than the others, and they were trying to negotiate and figure out what to do with her. But in the meantime, she befriended one of the ladies, and she was let free. It's actually true what she said. Yeah, see, generosity. So that lady was generous and let her go. And so everything that's happened so far in the case is what the police said is actually true. She was branded on a spur of the whim. They were trying to experiment and do different things to like figure out what to do with her. And they cut her hair off because it was getting really matted because she didn't brush it because she couldn't, and they did not want to brush it for her or wash her. So that's why they cut it off. This is so odd. Yeah, so Sherri was resilient and smart and used everything she had to get out of her predicament. She did not want to be a sex slave, obviously. So let's see which goddess Sherri is. Which one she embodies, I guess, or that would follow if she did follow. Athena. So knowledge. She used the knowledge that she had of the ladies, especially the weaker, younger one, to get away. And these ladies are still criminals. They're still doing this. They're not in jail. And they're never going to do what they did with her again. They're going to just stick with what they know. And they're actually still together. The one didn't kill the other one or anything. They're both still alive and working together clumsily and bumbling along as criminals. But Sherri, it is true that everything that she said happened to her, and that it was traumatic, and that because she wasn't eating, sleeping very much, or doing anything normal for her, she had what happened to a lot of prisoners, which is she forgot things. So that's the reading. Pretty interesting. And I wonder when people are going to start believing her, if they will, and I wonder if she's going to get justice. It seems odd that everyone is doing this against her. Let's see why. Okay, it's just because of the gut feeling of how they feel about her. They just think she looks too weird. Like, they think that she looks insincere and like a liar as a person that isn't smart and stuff. But actually, like, her and Keith really are in love. She's smarter than she looks, and this really did happen to her. So that's the reading, and I hope you guys have a good day.